it's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. But you guys, a quick little Duel Links update video. If you guys don't know, I've been getting super into the mobile game YuGiOh Duel Links, which is basically kind of an abbreviated version of Yu-Gi-Oh on your mobile device or on Steam. It's really awesome, and it's totally free to play. Obviously, you can spend money like most mobile games and kind of expedite the process, but you can play for free as well. So definitely check it out. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. I'm just simply really into this game. I've been playing it non-stop, guys, on my grind to King of Games, but I kind of wanted to introduce it to my channel a little bit, and there's actually some news for YuGiOh Duel Links, so hopefully you guys will dig that. And if you want to see Duel Links rank up videos, I've been streaming it on my channel as of late on my Twitch streams, and I'm likely going to start posting some YouTube videos as well pretty soon here. But there's a new mini box coming out called Rosonance of Contrast. It's going to be coming out on the 25th of January, so just a few days. There's going to be some events that are ending, and then you're going to actually get this really cool new mini box with some pretty cool cards in it. There's not anything super duper crazy, but there's some really good cards in it. And also, before I kind of talk about the box set, I've been kind of complaining, as so many people have, but Golden Bamboo Sword is officially going to be added to the limited list, which is going to make it so that you can only have one Golden Bamboo Sword, which should pretty much shut down the Bamboo engine, obviously. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it right now, competitive or PvP, Duel Links is really flooded with a lot of people using this new Bamboo engine to basically infinitely draw and get an FTK or a first turn kill with various things like Woodland Spread and Endymion and a couple of other things, even Exodia. So while it was kind of cool and novelty, it was incredibly frustrating, and it made for laddering. It made laddering incredibly difficult, especially since it's really not skill based at all when you're winning on the first turn by simply drawing out your entire deck and flooding the field. And there was only a handful of things that can stop it. And even if you had things to stop it, there were instances where you'd face Woodland Sprite and you would actually lose in the first turn before you even got to make a move. So glad to see that they're making moves there. It's not going to be until February, I don't believe, until that actually gets taken into effect. They usually give 2 weeks from the time they announce something happening from it actually happening. So unfortunately, the rest of January's season is going to still be flooded with Bamboo, but just try to not take it too seriously, I guess, as you continue to ladder up. I can tell you right now, at this moment, I'm sitting at Legend 3, making my first ever push to King of Games. Again, I picked up this game again about a month ago. I think 28 days I've had logged in straight, and I'm really enjoying this game. It's a lot of fun to farm the cards and make fun decks and really kind of play Yu-Gi-Oh! I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's really cool that it's like an abridged version. So anyway, let's keep it going here. So Rosonance of Contrast is going to be the newest set. There's some really cool cards here. So Red Eyes / Dragon. It's actually really funny. There was just a kind of like a pick a card event where you can get Guardian of Felgran, and I know a lot of people picked the Spirit, the trap card of Kurragane, I believe, but those who picked Guardian of Felgran are in luck because it actually pairs really well with the Red Eyes / Dragon. You can essentially equip it as part of the fusion, and you kind of guarantee that it gets resummoned, which is pretty cool. But there's some really cool cards in this pack that I want to talk about, and I'll leave the link to this Konami website down below so you guys can take a look at all the different cards. But there's some interesting ones. So this is Phalanx Pike, which is pretty interesting. You're going to gain 900 attack for each card in the graveyard that has the same name as it does. So if you're playing something, let's say like Gozuki or whatever, and you're playing Red Eye Zombie, and you have 2 Gozukis in the graveyard, you're going to get 1800 boost to your monster. And if your opponent has those same cards, then you're gonna get boosts based on your opponents. I think it's kind of a novelty situation. I don't really anticipate this card being like super good, but I can see some situations where it's decent. Defense draw, really interesting. During your opponent's turn, at damage calculation, make the damage you take from this battle 0, and if you do, draw a card. Really good for kind of stally, burny type decks where you're negating your opponent from attacking in that case, or taking life point damage and being able to draw a card, which can make the difference in a battle. And one thing I always think of when I play Yu-Gi-Oh! and especially card games is when you play a card, what is the advantage you're gaining out of that card? And sometimes cards like, for example, Tribute to the Doomed will cause you to play the card Tribute to the Doomed, discard another card to get rid of one monster. So you're basically trading 2 cards for 1. This is an instance where you're essentially trading 1 card for 1, right? You're using Destiny Draw and you're gaining another card in your hand through drawing. So I always feel like cards like that can be relatively useful, especially since this is almost kind of like a Jar of Greed in a way, but better because you're negating the damage. And actually, you could potentially save your monster too, because you're reducing the battle damage you're taking. So that's actually really cool, and I think that it has some usefulness on like stally type burn decks. There's a lot of these Bujin cards, which are kind of like the focal point of this mini box. I'll talk about those here in a minute. There's a couple other cards that I really like. Void Trap Hole I think is going to be kind of memey. I don't really think it's going to be that good, but if your opponent special summons a monster with 2,000 or more attack, you can negate the effect of one of those monsters and destroy it. So this actually is pretty useful, I would say, generally, just considering special summons are so active. There's so many special summons that kind of take place in a normal duel, so this could work relatively well. I actually did want to check. I have to kind of read up on kind of the nomenclature, I guess, not the nomenclature, but the exact wording of Lava Golem, because I'm curious whether this would actually negate Lava Golem. That could be kind of useful, especially when facing burn decks, but generally when you're facing you know, your opponent, there's a lot of special summons that take place, so this may be useful, but I don't think it's going to be super reliable, so I wouldn't count on it as being like a staple in your back row, but I could see some variation, like some instances where it's decent. But this card I really like. I love zombies. I feel like zombies are really fun. I was playing a Red Eye zombie deck for a little while when I got back into it about a month ago. That was like my target deck to make, was a Red Eye zombie deck, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But this card's really cool. So it's a zombie card, and once per turn you can target one level 4 or lower monster in your opponent's graveyard that's a zombie that was destroyed by a battle, and you can special summon it to your side of the field. So you may be like, well, what are the chances that I face a zombie deck against my opponent? But that's not really what you got to worry about. The field spell Zombie World, and I double checked it, Zombie World actually turns not only all the monsters on the field, but all the monsters in the graveyard to zombie types as well. So this is a pretty hard beater for like Bones to be rocking with. With Bones' I guess his Bones' field spell would be negated because of Zombie World, but you could throw down a Zombie World and you'd be able to get this thing. It'd be a 1900 beater that's going to be able to basically revive your opponent's monsters, which I think is kind of cool, that are zombie type, and that kind of pairs really well with Red Eye's zombie as well. Same kind of thing, when you knock things out with the Red Eye zombie, you can kind of revive them to your field. So I don't know if this is going to be like a staple of zombie decks under any circumstances in the Red Eye situation, but I've seen a lot of Red Eye's decks playing Zombie World is kind of a way to stop their opponent from like flooding the field, you know, with their monsters. You're kind of taking them yourself, so that could be kind of cool. Like I said, I don't know how good it's going to be overall, but I think that there's some situational use for it, and I think it could be cool. Snipe Hunter, though, I think is the real gem in this pack. Snipe Hunter is a really solid card. It's 1500 attack, which is decent, but really its effect is what makes it work. It's a Fiend effect, and you can already, maybe the wheels are turning with Dark Necrofear and Fiend type decks, but being able to discard a card and then target a card on the field, you roll a 6-sided die, and if you roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, you're going to be able to destroy that target. And one of the things that you can notice about this effect is it's not limited to once per turn. So you can essentially clear your opponent's field if you have the discard power. Really good, especially when Fiend decks a lot of the times rely on getting those Fiends to the graveyard, and this is a Fiend itself. So I really feel like this card has some value, and I think it's actually going to make an appearance in those Fiend type decks, especially when you have, like I said, things like Necrofear, which are kind of forcing you to remove 3 Fiend type monsters to get it on the field in the first place. So I really feel like Snipe Hunter has some viability there. Being able to discard a card, you have a 2 in 3 chance or a 4 in 6 chance to eliminate that monster, so that's a really good chance. I mean, that's 67% roughly that you're going to be able to get rid of your opponent's monster, which is pretty solid. You know, 2 out of 3 times you're going to make it work, and even if you don't, you're still getting the benefit of having that card sent to the graveyard, which is actually pretty decent. There was some other stuff too that I thought was kind of cool. Some of these Bujingi or Buji you know, cards have some viability. I feel like this one isn't that bad. If you control another Bujin monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard. You can target a spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy that target. You can only use it once per turn, but that's kind of cool in terms of removing spell and traps. I think like right now the game really focuses on getting rid of your opponent's backfield. I think that's like such a core focus right now in YuGiOh Duel Links in the metagame, because so many people are running, you know, multiple enemy controllers, Super Rush, you've got your mirror walls and your floodgates, and you've got your, you know, wall disrupt. So there's just so many back row cards, and then you face like burn and stuff. So having the ability to remove those is always good. And again, 1700 attack isn't that bad, so not too bad of a card. I mean, like I said, there's a number of these Bujingi kind of cards in this deck, and Bujin Yamato, so maybe you can kind of make them work in some way. And this isn't bad. 1800, you can add 1 Bujin monster from your deck to your hand, and then you send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, so you're kind of trading 1 for 1 there. Not too bad there. There was another Skill Successor I thought was kind of an interesting card as well. You can target one face-up monster you control. It's going to gain 400 attack, which is pretty mediocre, and it'll go to the end of the turn. But then after that turn, this card goes to the graveyard, and then you can actually banish the card from your graveyard and then target a monster you control and then gain 800 attack the next turn. So you're basically getting to use this effect twice, one time for 400, one time for 800. And while I think there's better cards, like I think Metal Morph may be a little bit more reliable, I do think this card actually isn't terrible. I think you could see some play. Having the ability to go 400 and then 800 is pretty cool. Especially since you basically get 2 uses out of the card, and again, that's just really solid value. And then for new players, I think this card is worth mentioning, Luster Dragon. I actually remember this card from when I used to play the actual TCG, but it's a 4-star 1900. Obviously, I think Sabersaurus is already a 4-star 1900 from a previous set. That's pretty easy to obtain. But this is a pretty solid, just like normal beater. I know if I pick up a few of these, it'll replace some mechanical chasers in my auto dueling decks, because I use like a Red Lotus deck just to auto duel. So there's some pretty cool takeaways here from this set. I don't think this is like spend all your gems in this set. I really don't think it's that good, but I do think Snipe Hunter has some viability. I think that's like really the takeaway from this pack is really Snipe Hunter. I think it's definitely the best card, obviously, as an ultra rare. You got the Red Eyes Slash Dragon. This text is very difficult to read, but they have a little bit of some notes about it here. You increase its attack by equipping a warrior type monster in your graveyard and then declare an attack. When you use this effect, even if Red Eyes is destroyed, you'll be able to special summon the monster that was equipped to it. So that allows you to basically get your Guardian of Felgrand kind of back onto the field. And Felgrand has the ability where if it's normal special summon, you can equip 1 level 7 or 8 dragon monster from your hand or graveyard to this card. This card gains attack and defense equal to half the attack and defense of the monster equipped. So kind of neat. So like if your Red Eyes goes down, then Felgrand comes back and it gets the like half the attack and defense of the Red Eyes, which puts you at 1400. So that puts you at a 1900 attack beater, and then you contribute 1 monster in this card, and then you can you know, special summon a dragon from your graveyard. So like there's a lot of kind of viability to Felgrand and how it can function in the deck. So I think that's valuable in itself. So there's some kind of interesting little combos you can put together with that. But again, ultimately, I just feel like Snipe Hunter is the takeaway from this pack. So again, I wouldn't necessarily say spend all your gems on it. I think if you can get a couple Snipe Hunters, it'd probably be worth it. I think this card is going to be pretty solid. But generally, I would say save your gems, hold on until next time and see what else comes out. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A little bit of a breakdown on the newest set for YuGiOh Duel Links, of course, Resonance of Contrast. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked it. If you do want to see more YuGiOh Duel Links content on the channel, let me know in the comments section below. That's gonna be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. Thanks so much for checking out my last video. If you like that one, you'll definitely like this one. And be sure to subscribe for more as I post Pokemon videos every single day.